Good morning and welcome to Talking Point here on WESN, the content capital. My name is Keaton Shaw. It's a mixed morning with some rain in some parts, sun in some parts, and, no wash at all in some parts. But we thank you for joining us this morning as we continue the conversations. I'm joined by my co-host and colleague alongside me, Mr. Sean Michael Small. Good morning, Sean.
Morning, Keaton. And yes, it is a beautiful day, ironically speaking, because we kind of held off talking about a very ugly situation yesterday. We were trying to look more of a wider scope, but we found out over the weekend, or we found out yesterday, that the state witness, Mr. Romani, who was the alleged, or he was accused, and eventually forensic evidence basically gave us a different set of events. He was accused of shooting and murdering PC Gilks, and I believe he might be a person of interest in other situations from before. I could be wrong about that, but he was shot and killed. He's a state witness, but not just that, he was potentially the victim of fraud, of false testimony given by the other police officers on the scene, right? Not only that, but there was a heavy implication. As I said, he might be implicated in, or he might be a person of interest in other things. There was a heavy implication on the scene that the police were in a shoot first and ask questions later mode when they confronted Mr. Romani at that time. He was afraid for his life. Now, for all intents and purposes, we could argue that fear is warranted, unless it comes out, and this is the unfortunate thing, if it comes out with definite proof that he himself was murdered for a different set of motivations, and for that we need definite proof, then fine. Then we know for certain the police are not involved. Until that happens, that question just naturally lingers in the air. It's not something that I enjoy saying, but I'm sure there are going to be a lot of people who their initial response after getting the news yesterday was the fact that, hey, they finally got him. It's just, who is they? And that goes now into a wider dilemma for the public, because public trust with regards to the TTPS. Right now, the corporate comms unit, the media ambassadors, they're working hard to try to change public trust. But public trust is being eroded, I would say, in part due to, well, the perception on the ground, of the actions on the ground. And this matter with PC Gilks, unfortunately, it's very difficult to interpret it any other way. Therein lies the problem, right? So now, and remember, this is after a situation with regards to, we still don't know what happened to two men that fell off of a chair. And I'm not saying these things to say we have to attack the police, but we do, as the public, need answers if we are expected to have faith in the system and to have trust in the service. And I mean, without it, I have heard some even more extreme things with regards to the police. The type of rum shop accusations and rumors that I have heard goes well beyond the stuff that I'm saying here. And if I have heard it, well, you could probably bet your bottom dollar that it's probably more widespread than one would think. So,
well, I'll be very honest with you. It points to the fact that good citizens, or citizens who want to do good, cannot come forward and speak to the police. And I'll explain to you why. I'll explain to you why right after this. Let's take a quick break.
FanZone, your reliable, authentic supplier, has just gotten better. You can now visit our website www.fanzonett.com for your authentic wear and collectibles. The only place where you can use both your Visa debit and credit cards. Visit our website fanzonett.com to make your purchase today.
is your chance to win a brand new Mazda CX-30, courtesy Movietown. Simply spend $200 or more at dbesttoys.com, Movietown, Port of Spain. Promotion ends November 12th.
Visit the store, you better shop online. You better call us now, I'm telling you why. dbesttoys.com is the Movietown, Port of Spain. Hey! Your Christmas is safe with us at BC. Police Credit Union. Police Credit Union. Your Christmas is safe with us at BC. Police Credit Union. Police Credit Union.
Get an easy zero-interest Christmas loan at Police Credit Union today. Borrow up to $25,000 with affordable monthly payments. New members, you get up to $10,000. No interest, no installments until January. Apply online at www.policecreditunion.com. Loan subject to credit approval.
I am Rondell Donowa, attorney at law and host of Strictly Legal on WESN Content Capital. Strictly Legal is a legal program geared towards informing you, the public, of your legal rights, responsibilities, and remedies. So be viewing Thursdays 10 a.m. to 10:30 a.m.
Whether it's your family meet and eat or your own personal getaway retreat, a business trip accommodation, or a couple's celebration, the Cocoa Reef Resort and Spa has room for you. There's always sumptuous, delicious cuisine and the gym and tennis court for a good workout routine. Then relax by the pool or on the private beach, or just head to the spa. It's also within reach. The Cocoa Reef Resort and Spa, Tobago's best beach resort. For reservations, call 639-8571 or check our website.
Every word, every line, every paragraph depicts a real moment in someone's life. A father, a sister, a mother, a brother. We at Newsday are dedicated to you, the people, and through independent, unwavering journalism, strive to always bring your stories to life. Because your stories are more than just words. Newsday, independent and credible.
Living in victory every day.
Inspire, motivate, encourage, hope. It's about topical issues. It's about everything that you would want to know about hope, about life. At the end, you're going to say, yes, if he can do it, I can do it too. If she can, I can do it too.
No matter what they say, living in victory every day.
Nicole Lawson Live, living in victory every day. Every Sunday at 8 p.m. and Wednesday at 4:30 p.m. on WESN.
People get confused, they go into the grocery and they're like, you know what, I want to change my life. I want to eat better. As exciting as the front of a label looks, the back of the label is really where it's at. If something has less than 5% in that particular serving of that nutrient, then it's probably a low source. If it has 20 or more, then it's a high source.
Smoothies, I'm not really into that because the texture, or I don't like what people put in theirs, but the good thing about a smoothie is that you can make it your own. You can literally put whatever you want. If you really like bananas, you can put bananas. If you really don't like bananas, don't put bananas. Like, it's really that simple.
What's up, Doc? Tuesdays and Thursdays here on WESN Content Capital.
Welcome back to Talking Point. My co-host, Mr. Keaton Shaw, he has had to step out of the room temporarily. Hopefully he'll be able to return. Just part of the recovery process, folks, which goes to show that, yes, COVID might be over, but there are other things with regards to health. Actually, something that Keaton wanted to get into later on is with regards to diabetes and what our food situation might mean for NCDs. First, we had to worry about NCDs being a risk factor for COVID. Now, we have to consider NCDs growing as our diets get worse, as our economy gets worse. Now, back to crime. Experts say the current murder rate and crime rates have made the general population feel they could become victims at any time, causing fear and threatening the stability of the country. This coming from an article in Newsday, and that it cripples the economy. Now, this is one of the vicious cycles, because as the economy gets crippled, it further de-incentivizes young people to participate in the economy. They don't have money to be had, money to be made, but they see criminal enterprise potentially having money to be made, so they go down that route. As we saw with regards to the young men that tried to do the break-in, the police were able to interdict in that situation, and even after fired upon, the police still continued pursuit. They were able to wound the two men that were shooting at them, not necessarily kill them. I would say this, at the very least, with those basic details, that's a commendable job. That the police were there in the moment, did not turn a blind eye, managed to go through. On the flip side, we do hear, that's not necessarily proven with evidence, we hear of situations where the police potentially give out favors or take bribes to get their friends through checkpoints, get the person of interest that the roadblock was set up for, pass the roadblock, give out warnings, help transport illegal substances. We hear it. To some extent, the police service itself knows that these things, in a general sense, happens. One of the issues that we have now is the PCA seems to be a toothless tiger, pointless authority, because it seems to have little to no authority, not necessarily fully proclaimed or fully passed. It's not set up or implemented fully. Similar to procurement. We haven't heard that one before, right? So now where are we actually getting any sort of reprieve? Who is the authority to handle this? Of course, that trope in Hollywood where police don't like their fellow police officers that investigate themselves, that investigate the others. You know, internal affairs is usually what you see on American TV. They're not necessarily well liked. Fine, I understand that. I don't necessarily have any other expectations, but it's necessary. If only for the fact that it allows the country to have perception that police corruption is being stamped out, does not exist, if only to clear officers of accusations by a more neutral, not necessarily neutral, just somewhat more neutral, third party. Police investigating police don't make sense. That's what we have to rely on right now. So it's a vicious cycle. Because again, there's a gentleman who there is no evidence he was armed, and that's Mr. Romani. Police confronted him. They shot one of their own in the back of the head, I believe in the back of his neck. Then they tried to pin the death on Mr. Romani. After forensic evidence cleared him. And let's not forget the waves throughout Diego Martin that the TTPS made to catch this man. And we're seeing a manhunt over the death of an SRP in Tobago. When we have murders in Trinidad. Now, granted, yes, the response to the home invasion in San Fernando a few weeks back, that was incredible. But we don't see that as a norm. But the police, they mobilize when one of their own gets shot and killed. I mean, I expect them to have an emotional response. But when the commissioner says we're going to pull out all stops, we don't see this for all murders. To the point where they're chasing after the wrong man with all the vigor and anger and vengeance of the TTPS, only to find out from forensics that, hey, it was probably some of his own fellow cops that killed him. Now, months later, witness is dead. What are we supposed to think? How are we supposed to have confidence? When we get the media ambassador, he is coming this week. He wasn't able to come yesterday, but he is coming and he does not shy away from these things. But ultimately, the answers need to come from above his pay grade. Now the question is, to what extent is this the responsibility, this situation, the responsibility of the commissioner, who is only acting, so he's a lame duck commissioner to some extent, right? There are no expectations that he's going to be holding the job next year. Although a 3-year service or term as commissioner of police, I don't know if that's long enough, I don't know. But to what extent is he responsible for the current state of the TTPS? But again, a lot of our problems are long-term, so they come before him. They come even before his predecessor or his predecessor's predecessor. To what extent is it exacerbated by recent events? By the Police Service Commission collapsing? By not having an actual substantive commissioner of police to oversee this situation right now? How many more people linked with police misconduct are going to die, or criminals are going to die in a way that suggests police misconduct, and we, the people of Trinidad and Tobago, are just going to accept it? I've already said, children are dying. We don't protest. I understand, yes, women are a vulnerable demographic of the population, and we protested when we had some particular questionable and brutal and gruesome deaths. I have no problem with that. I don't. Now children are dying. I don't see the response. More importantly, where's the response from the public to say, in definitive terms, not rum shop talk, not just quiet talk around your neighbors and your friends. As a population, right now in Iran, morality police, and I say that with quotes because I don't actually believe that's their job and function. A woman died in their custody. The entire country has had enough. They're up in arms. Even after strong, oppressive, authoritarian responses, we are in, technically, I would like to think, a much freer society. COVID stopped the protests of the Candlelight Vigil movement. I get that. I understand that the timing was horrible, but it was practical. But what's stopping protests about the crime situation now? Is it that we don't want to get involved? Is it that we don't have any hope? Is it that we don't necessarily care anymore? Have too many people had to flee the country? And at the end of the day, what are the politicians doing? The opposition cried wolf already, so whatever they have to say about this situation really doesn't matter, because we've heard it already. And it's the same song and dance. Government is just telling us not to worry, no stone will be left unturned. But they did that several situations ago. So as far as I'm concerned, all these stones have already been turned over. They just turned it back at this point. And meanwhile, the economy. I mean, we're probably going to cross 600 million this year. Foreign direct investment is probably going to dry up. Right now, the Minister of Foreign Affairs and the Minister of National Security is trying to speak to discharge the affairs at the United States Embassy. We don't actually have a U.S. ambassador, and I do wonder to what extent is the U.S. saying it's not safe to put an ambassador down in Port of Spain. Why bother? This is a very good way to make us irrelevant as a strategic partner for trade, as a strategic partner for security and international crime fighting, as a strategic energy partner. This is a very good way to make us irrelevant and to just make us one of those hard luck cases in the region. There are not a lot of them. We used to be one of the giants of the region. Now we're being overshadowed by our peers or people that we didn't even think were our peers. And now we're just going to descend into whatever this is. How far are we going to fall? I'm going to continue this. Let's take a break. When we come back, I want to get into the whole, let's try to talk to the chargé d'affaires to get our travel advisory changed. Some magical way that's going to change the practical reality of our situation. I have no idea. Sean Michael Small, hopefully soon to be joined by Mr. Keaton Shah, talking point on your content capital, WESN. We'll bring it back.
Whether it's a room for 1, 2, 3 or more, there's a room waiting with the ocean view almost to your door. Cocoa Reef Resort and Spa, the perfect getaway when you don't want to travel far. The Cocoa Reef Resort and Spa, Crown Point, Tobago. Call 639-8571 for your reservation.
Your Christmas is safe with us
interest Christmas loan at Police Credit Union today. Borrow up to $25,000 with affordable monthly payments. New members, you get up to $10,000. No interest, no installments until January. Apply online at www.policecreditunion.com. Loan subject to credit approval.
Is it politics? What is it? Is it that nobody cares about sports?
The kind of support that sport used to get in the past is no longer here.
The thing is, taking a knee doesn't mean that that's the only thing you're doing on it.
Right.
Taking a knee along with other stuff.
Samantha, what are you looking forward to when you return home to Trinidad and Tobago after winning the title?
Thank you very much for speaking it into existence.
Is there no pressure on Nicholas Ball?
It makes me more motivated to work hard and to go out there and rep the red, white and black.
Why are we sending a team to the Winter Olympics?
There are a number of Trinbagonians who are in the diaspora and have grown up in winter sport. It's an opportunity that the Trinidad and Tobago Olympic Committee will not close the door on.
I also believe in the players that we have. Once you can motivate the players, you can get the best out of them.
With society plagued by a host of issues, with debates surrounding our urgent concerns falling short, with questions of our future not always being answered.
The conversation continues. Join me, Kemuel Pascal, as the voice of the youth comes to life. We will confront the controversial topics of today's world to gain answers that are key for a better tomorrow. One and One with me, Kemuel Pascal. Wednesdays at 10 a.m. Only on WESN Content Capital.
AM Prime on WESN, the only place from 6 to 7:30 a.m. where you can get the most analytical and thorough interviews and regional reports.
The Barbados Labour Party, led by the Prime Minister Mia Amor-Motley, once again able to achieve a clean sweep in yesterday's general election.
I think a lot of people have underestimated the power of Tobago nationalism.
If the government is afraid to say it, I, Martin George, I am saying it this morning on your show, Andy. There will be no carnival before Ash Wednesday.
Grab a cup of coffee and start your day right watching AM Prime with Andy Johnson weekdays from 6 a.m. Only on your content capital, WESN.
Welcome back to Talking Point, ladies and gentlemen. And of course, you also heard about the fact that SRP Lashley in Tobago was killed over the weekend. I have a quote here from Superintendent Rodel Kirk. And on Tobago Updates, I believe, well, reported by the news, he said, "I just want to let the public to rest assured that the police is doing everything in our powers to bring those perpetrators to justice and to minimize such incidents happening as we go forward in the future." That's what they say all the time, right? So then, if you're doing everything in your power here, are you doing everything in your power to find out who killed Romany? What about who killed the kids in those, spray and pray shootings? So if you do everything in our power in one, do we have enough power for another murder investigation? How about the other, 400 or so, 450, whichever murder investigations that aren't even close to being solved yet and we haven't really gotten any headway? Do we have any power left over for that? So these words, they're expected, I get it, you're supposed to say something like that. But when the results aren't there, they seem to be more and more hollow and empty, kind of like the empty promises of a politician. Of course, rejoined by my co-host, Mr. Keaton Shaw. Keaton, you brought this up yourself with regards to some of the things that the acting commissioner said, and now some of his subordinates now seems to be all they could do is follow in his footsteps. It's not really helping the situation. We see that they're putting, they're leaving no stone unturned in this murder because an SRP was murdered. So we could actually see the difference between this response and other responses. They don't even know why he was murdered.
Well, first of all, let me just apologize to all our viewers and to my co-host Sean for that slight delay earlier on with my presence on the program. Unfortunately, as with recovery, as Sean pointed out, sometimes your your illness tends to act up a bit, I suppose, or the side effects of your illness. But as we continue the program, I think I've said it before, and I often repeat myself or repeat quotes from the past programs, and that is the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service. They have now become, in a sense, a public relations agency.
Well, that's the only part that actually works somewhat well.
No, I wouldn't even say it works somewhat well. It's the only thing that seems to be functioning efficiently, to the extent that, rest assured, that after a murder or any crime of that sort takes place, you may not get it investigated, you may not get results, you may not even feel safer, and you may not even be assured that the perpetrators will be brought to justice. But you can be rest assured that the public relations machinery within the TTPS are always hard at work. We will leave no stone unturned. We promise you that we're working very hard. We promise you that we're doing this. The Minister of National Security said he got a statement from the TTPS assuring that they're in full force, they have all the necessary equipment and all that they require to ensure they're functioning. When a simple little thing like trying to contact a police station is difficult. They cannot send out any patrols right now because we're changing shift. What nonsense is that? You know, that's absolute nonsense in this day and age. A simple little things the TTPS cannot get right. They cannot get these simple things. The basic policing, they cannot get right. How do you expect them to actually work in a nation that's riddled with this high level of criminal activity?
The funny thing about it is, this is a very important job, right? And there are a lot of brave police officers, like the ones that intervened in that robbery, right? And like the ones that intervened, we had the chase with regards to the officers chasing after the gunman on Ryson Road. They were able, well, they were in a gunfight, they were able to respond without putting any public at risk, right? So it's not about all police folks. However, with regards to the overall structure of the system, to me it seems as though the police, to some extent, too many people working in the TTPS are like any other public servant with the same type of work ethic that any other public servant, the ones that we complain about, not the ones that actually get your stuff done for you, without bribes or any foolishness like that to grease the wheels, right? The shift change. Nah, you can't do that here, you have to go there, send you somewhere else so they don't have to do the paperwork, right? The lack of any sort of customer service, the lack of any sort of professionalism. It's almost as though for too many of the people, it's a job. Don't mind the fact that this job is supposed to be you safeguarding the citizens from criminals. So it's one thing if you're inefficient, but inefficiency in some sort of bureaucratic office for a public sector, even for utilities, is different inefficiency here.
But you know, I wouldn't want to label all police officers as being the same. I think that would be unfair. I can only speak from my experience. And generally, with my experience, and I say generally, 95% of the times, if we have to try and put a number on it, the level of unprofessionalism that you encounter with Trinidad and Tobago police officers, it's now become, I mean, a couple of weeks ago we said it, with the Defense Force. We have a regiment in Trinidad. We don't have an army. We have a regiment. It's a similar thing with the Coast Guard, etc., etc. Individuals actually join this because at the end of the day, it's easy money. I don't think, and I don't see individuals who actually want to serve.
It's a government job.
It's a government job. Once we're in it, we're almost guaranteed a salary at the end of the month. We're guaranteed to have the protections of the unions. And this is the thing. Don't get me wrong. There are officers who put their lives at risk every single day. This is why I said to paint everybody with a broad brush will be unfair.
You know, it's a slap in the face for the ones who actually do the work in the public sector, for the officers who actually do work, for the Coast Guard officers who, well, I mean, this is the thing. Where does it come from? We have heard that Coast Guard patrols will get instructions, hey, don't patrol today. Why? Because somebody's smuggling something through. But it's a slap in the face for the ones that actually care, that are actually trying to do the work, right? And even to the clerk who is trying to handle whatever immigration or driver's license renewals or whatever with some level of responsibility, it's a slap in the face because those few are plugging away, keeping things together, preventing it from falling apart. Meanwhile, we don't know how much it is, but I would hazard a guess of at least over half are just there to collect a check.
And this is the thing, when you have individuals who get into a service just to essentially collect a check, because the level of laziness that I've seen from some of these police officers, the level or the lack of care, need I say, that I've seen and witnessed from these police officers that I've experienced, quite frankly, we don't have a Trinidad and Tobago police service. There's not a police service. It's actually just a Trinidad and Tobago, well, we'll be their security company, essentially. I always use the example of the Tunapuna police station because in my opinion, it's one of the worst police stations. And where I live, you've got the St. Joseph police station or the Tunapuna police station that really, right? Or even to the extent that you could use the El Socorro police station, right? What I've realized is that, particularly with the Tunapuna police station, and I can target them based off of my experience, they're not functioning at all. They do not function at all. They do. This is precisely the police station that I've called, right? And sometimes, you know what, you don't make a false police report, you know. I do not think you should ever make a false police report. But there are certain things in place that sometimes I try to test the system, right? Things that it shouldn't bother you. But for example, there are laws in place that you are not allowed to play loud music from any establishment, especially in a residential area. Regardless, you need to have permission to play music, loud music, right? And this is the example I've used. There is a police officer, a former police officer, operating a supermarket. And in operating that supermarket, a lot of his former colleagues actually come and patronize him, right? So they're out there, they're liming, right? Now, first of all, the liquor license that this former police officer has is for a grocery, not for a bar. But he operates as a bar. In a residential area, playing loud music. This is where town and country planning also comes into place and local government approval also comes into place. Blasting this loud music away, there were a couple of teachers who had to do homeschooling. Remember over the COVID-19 pandemic? Yep. They complained about it. He did nothing about it. It's opposite a church. And this is what's happening. You're not even allowed to operate a bar opposite a church. Churches have taken people to court for this. The residents actually called. And the local government council office is right next to this grocery. And there's a big manhole opposite the local government representative. The man who has been there for years. But anyway, putting that aside, call the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service Tunapuna Police Station. You call them, and what has happened? Okay, we look into it. I have been informed, because this is multiple occasions that they've had to call the police over this man's music. I have been informed that the Tunapuna Police Station, because he's a former police officer and he has former colleagues coming to lime him, and sometimes officers who are off duty coming to patronize him as well, and apparently he gives them little perks and whatnot. They don't even bother. They just call him on his personal phone and say, listen, residents acting up again. You know, you had to put down the volume. But this is a constant cycle. This is what I'm saying. So to protect and serve who?
Exactly. And that's the thing. The favoritism or the favor passing out, right? And folks, that is a minor example.
Exactly.
That is a small example.
Precisely.
I've been saying, when they get the suspects through blockades, right? When they get instructions not to patrol that day. So some sort of smuggling could pass through to turn a blind eye to certain things. And who do we have at the end of the PCA can't do nothing? When has the PCA actually achieved any sort of substantial results to turn this around? And who's to blame for that? So now, I have two things basically to wrap this up quick. First of all, the Foreign Affairs Minister has to go to the American Charge of Affairs with the Minister of National Security, our Minister of National Security, to try to get the travel advisory changed. Here's the irony, Keaton. what American tourists do we really have? Outside of the diaspora that live in America that come back for Carnival or come back on their own accord. What American tourists, ironically, are we chasing after? But more importantly, you could ask them to change the travel advisory, but they put up a reconsider traveling here for a reason, and they could change it back. But that's not going to change the underlying situation that caused them to make that declaration in the first place.
You see, the thing is, the Minister of National Security will not have to make that trip. In fact, the advisory, the Minister of National Security should ask, why was this advisory issued? Because it doesn't take a fool to understand what's taking place in Trinidad and Tobago. Every single person could understand
I will bet you money that one of the arguments, because I think they've tried to make this in the past, terrorism.
No,
we have no terrorism here, but it's not about terrorism, it's about the high crime.
No, but hold on. You remember a couple months ago when the advisory was reissued about it's dangerous to move around and U.S. officials are prohibited. He said he was rather surprised, especially the fact with terrorism. The thing is with terrorism in Trinidad and Tobago, if the Minister of National Security is not aware, then quite frankly, he's not reading the newspapers or keeping up to date with international news. Trinidad and Tobago is still a hub for terrorist organizations. It's still a hub. But hold on.
Not just that.
Just go ahead. I'll finish
that.
up.
When you have poor law enforcement, right, that can't protect the citizens, much less secure, help an embassy be safe from criminal activity, terrorists are going to be like, I could attack an American embassy here.
But
there's no local law enforcement to impede me.
But hold on, and we must be very careful what we say on air. You know, we're very, very careful about that. But the thing is that the Minister of National Security would not have had to make that trip. He would not have had to go and essentially try to work this out or see if the advisory could be reconsidered if he was to actually do his job as a Minister of National Security, because coming out every other week and making some rather nonsensical statements as far as I'm concerned, or impractical, that doesn't align with reality, is not you doing your job. And this is the same Minister of National Security who said his job is not to make the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago feel safe. Bear that in mind.
Yes.
So if that is the case, why are you so affected by this travel advisory? It's because of the business aspect of it. It's what it's going to do to business here in TNT. If the Minister of National Security does his job, then we would see results. But we've allowed it to get to this stage. And the U.S. State Department, listen, I'm a Trinbagonian. I love my country. It's one of the reasons why I do this job, why I'm here, why we talk every morning. It's one of the reasons why we depress ourselves to read the news almost every day.
Really depressing.
But at the end of the day, could I blame the United States State Department for issuing that advisory? No. I can't. No. It would be rather foolish and ignorant of me to chastise U.S. State Department for actually issuing this, because as much as we may say, oh, it looks bad on TNT, and it goes against everything.
We need to not.
We're in that position.
We need to not fall for the hype that America is some lawless country, right? When they were protesting for police killings, it was 9 police killings that year that they were protesting. 9 in all of the United States. You know how much potential extrajudicial killings we might have had here in TNT? It might actually be more than theirs, right? Look how much. Well. It's not direct comparisons, folks, right? But here's the other thing, or the final thing that I want to get into. This might have to spill over after the break. Where are the protests?
But this is the thing. This is precisely...
Where is the public...
No, but Sean, this
stating
is exactly
this is unacceptable.
Why. This is exactly why government has gotten away with a lot of stuff. Because here in Trinidad... No, the only time you see Trinis protesting is if somebody gets shot and he was a good boy and he never did anything and police just come in the area and shoot the man and he was unarmed. This is the only time you see protests and riots taking place. In fact, when Andrea Barrett passed away, there was a candlelight movement.
Right.
The candlelight movement, right? People, the political parties were allowed to campaign, but the candlelight movement was shut down because of COVID-19. Right? Bear that in mind.
Well, no, but I would say that both should have been shut down, just for the record.
They're quick to it's double standards.
Yes.
In some instances, you're quick to try and shut down protests and whatnot. But if Trinidad and Tobago society was anything, because we copy the US, so we're like a sponge. We absorb everything that's taking place
Well,
outside.
we absorb a lot of the bad.
If Trinidad and Tobago society started acting as though we've seen major protests take place in the United Kingdom, you've seen major protests taking place in Iran,
Exactly.
you've seen major protests taking place in the United States. If Trinidad and Tobago society was a true sponge and absorbed all that, then the government here in Trinidad and Tobago will be lost.
That is why I say we absorb a lot of the bad, but we don't absorb the good. And part of the good is, hey, when are we going to be frustrated enough? When? And what is the tipping point now? I don't get it. I thought when automatic weapons were being shot, spray and pray into a car in broad daylight, in the middle of a situation with a lot of traffic right in front of that gate. So the collateral damage could have been way worse than it was. Multiple people lost their lives. Children are being shot, right? The state is basically just degrading their travel advisory for TNT year after year at this point. By next year, it will be they might be forbidden to even come here.
But on the flip side, you know, on the other side of it, there are those citizens who actually support extrajudicial killings, or as I well, let's not even say extrajudicial. We've been told that
vigilantism.
We should say police killings. We should make it plain and clear. There are those who support that, and there are some who are not concerned with the level of murders to the extent that once it's taught innocent people, right? Okay, let's give an example.
Children are not innocent people.
Let's give an example. In no way am I in a position to proclaim anything, and I'm no judge, I'm no jury, no charges have been laid, no arrests have been made. But the media yesterday issued a photo of the police officer who was killed in Tobago. And the photo that they use is this individual wearing a massive gold chain, a lot of jewelry, right? So of course, public perception immediately says, how could he afford it as a police officer? He's obviously involved in something, right? But this is the thing. There are those who actually are in support of the TTPS, killing these individuals, you know, wipe them out. And the murder rate, okay, as long as it's gang members killing other gang members, that's one way to solve crime. Let them wipe each other out. You know, as long as it's not innocent families or innocent people being killed. There's a lot of, there's never any comments on the issues at hand. For example, the Minister of National Security only chose to speak days after this child was shot in Enterprise, all right? But then when you take a look, in contrast, when you take a look at what happened with Rose Hill, he came out with such a nonsensical statement. I was ill when that happened. And you remember I messaged you, I think I sent you the video.
Yeah,
right?
you sent me that video.
And then Fitzgerald Hines comments, I read it. I'm lying on my bed and I'm reading this. And I'm getting angry, I'm getting infuriated, I'm getting frustrated. How could a Minister of National Security essentially come out and again, public relations comes into play to speak? No, it doesn't, hold on. This, honestly, I have to get out my system. It doesn't matter whether or not you want to come and say that the video is misleading because the children were never in any physical danger. When you hear gunshots and you don't know where gunshots are coming from,
so you
and
don't
you
know
have children,
if it's going to reach you.
And you have children having to lie on the ground in their classrooms. Teachers having to actually protect. They go the distance now of having to calm the children down. Stay quiet, shh, be quiet. While these bullets are flying out, so you don't know where it's coming from, and you come to say it's misleading, the children never in any physical danger. Boy, let me tell you something. As Minister of National Security, you are a complete and utter failure. So, as a politician, I don't know how you survived so long. But if you are the best that we can have as politicians and as a Minister of National Security in Trinidad and Tobago, then guess what? We reached the lowest of the low. Fitzgerald Hines, as far as I'm concerned, you should resign. You serve no purpose.
Two things. Hindsight is always 20/20. What that teacher did, one of the key things that teacher did is not just have the students lie down. What did she say? Be quiet. Yeah. Why did that matter? Because we're waiting for the time when we copy more wrong things from other jurisdictions. That includes school shootings. She doesn't know who's shooting at the time. She doesn't have privy to that information. She's hearing gunshots in close proximity, so she does not want... We've heard the stories. If you have seen any of the stories with regards to school shootings in the States, right? I dread that moment when it comes here, and I'm pretty sure that teacher was well aware, I do not want this to happen. I'm going to do whatever little I can to try to prevent it. That's probably what's going through her mind. which is why hindsight is not really helpful. I will just say this. Yes, what he said there was a complete waste of time. But with regards to the overall crime situation, it's more than just the minister. It's more than just the minister. It is the systems we have in place that the government as a whole allows to perpetuate because they don't have the political will to clean up everything. Now, to be fair, there's a lot to clean up. But this is one of the things that should have a priority.
No, but
it has to have a priority. And I'll go back to this. The population is letting, we already said the opposition letting the government get away with things. The population is now letting the government get away with it.
And you essentially said the three things I was going to say. One, I still blame the minister. I blame ministers, cabinet, and I blame the prime minister as well.
Because he's the head of National Security Council.
You've also no, he's the head of National Security Council when he wants to be head of National
right,
Security
yes,
Council, right?
He was the head of National Security Council to get rid of the last Commissioner of Police, but now he's had one meeting.
You know, he's the head of the National Security Council when he chooses to be. Whenever the public is an outcry, I'm the head of the National Security Council, right? So, yes, the systems are in place, but the minister has done nothing to fix it, right? The minister has done nothing to fix it. In fact, I honestly don't know what Fitzgerald Hines has done as Minister of National Security.
The government does not want to rock the boat because when the money flows stop, the votes will stop.
Hold on.
That is just another fraction of the voting base.
The Minister of National Security has done nothing but kiss up to the Prime Minister. And obviously the Prime Minister loves that, so that's why he's let Fitzgerald Hines remain there. The Minister of National Security has done nothing but really suck up to the Prime Minister. So this is what I'm saying. I blame the Prime Minister because as head of the National Security Council, you took action against a former Commissioner of Police who had quite a bit of public support. There were those who didn't support him, but I'll be very honest with you, the majority of what I've heard is that the public supported him. So you acted as head of National Security Council then, but you're not acting as head of National Security Council when you have an incompetent, waste of time, nonsensical, big-mouthed National Security Minister who does nothing. He sits there. So I blame the Prime Minister, one. That's why the systems have remained as it is.
Right.
Two, I blame the opposition as well. Because as far as I'm concerned with the opposition has done nothing again. You said it. They have not put pressure on this government. They have not acted as an opposition. Because you could come out and you could have your Monday night forum, you could have your press conference on a Sunday. But when you don't put pressure, when you don't add pressure, when you don't stick to it, this is what I'm saying. Hold on. In 2010 to 2015, Keith Rowley was an excellent opposition leader. And quite frankly, the government laid it on a plate for him, but he actually was effective as an opposition leader.
I mean, the result says yes, because he got elected afterwards.
But his motions of no confidence were on point. This opposition has not been able to do it, which is why I said they don't want to win an election.
I would argue that the leader of the opposition's communication ability rivals Minister Hines.
And then finally, and you've made the very valuable point, the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago are also to blame. Because even though the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago are frustrated, the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago also need to do their part. If you see something wrong, try and fix it. Say something. And as much as you may be frustrated, because I use the example of the Tunapuna police station, as much as you've been frustrated, make those reports. And then make those reports public. Make those reports public. Start speaking out, speaking about it. But because these are things, these are the only way that you will bring reality to what the Minister of National Security is saying and realize that, quite frankly, he's completely out of his league. He is way out. He's nowhere near the league to be a minister, right? In fact, apparently he's a former police officer.
SRP,
right?
from what I understand.
Yeah. He can't even do that job properly. I don't know. The thing is, it's not that I am trying to bash the Minister of National Security unfairly, but it's now reached to a point where you have to question precisely how is it this individual is allowed to in the private sector.
I'll tell you
he
why.
would have never survived in the private sector.
I will tell you why. Because too many people in this country, in part because they are in the situation themselves, so they don't want to be hypocrites, right? They don't want meritocracy to reign supreme because that will affect their own lack of work. So obviously, why are we surprised when, with regards to government, meritocracy is not really going to be. And it's not about, listen, I don't know what he does. His schedule might be full. He might be working 18 hours a day. He might be working 80 hours a week. Results are not there. At some point, it doesn't matter how hard you try, how smart you are, how brilliant your ideas are. At some point, when results are not there, things have to be changed, because what's the point of continuing as is if the results are bad?
In the private
and that's what
sector.
meritocracy is.
That happens in the private sector. If you're not performing in the private sector, they will reprimand you. They will give you a warning. And after your second warning, you're out. And this is the thing with the government. I focused on Fitzgerald Hines this morning simply because of the topic that we were speaking about.
But it's not him alone.
And quite frankly, often I feel sorry at the fact that he seems to be the main target, especially when it comes to my rants. It's because of the state that we're in.
Yeah.
National security affects every single aspect of life, whether it be the economy, finance and business, whether it be education, whether it be tourism. It affects HCC housing, it affects development, it affects youth. National security, to me, it affects health as well. Because when you have individuals coming in on gurneys with gunshot wounds that have to be treated, and you have a short staff with doctors, you now have to prioritize these individuals, right?
And yes,
right.
and it will draw away from other health needs.
It affects that as well.
And money.
A cost. Exactly.
It costs money.
It's a cost as well. So national security is the main ministry, which is the pulse for other ministries here in Trinidad and Tobago, and the function. It really gets into the function of everything. The issue is that, yes, it's not only him alone. It's other ministers as well. But the thing is, when you listen to Fitzgerald Hines talk, when you listen to Camille Robinson Reggie's talk, and I could throw Colin Mimbert and sometimes Terence Yalsing in that mix as well, but mostly Camille Robinson Reggie's and Fitzgerald Hines, when you hear them talk, it's either Comedy Central or it's either what was that old show that they used to have with Jerry, right?
Jerry Springer.
Jerry Springer. Yeah, you're getting real frustrated. Sometimes you almost punch your laptop screen or you punch your television. Not because you're violent, but because you know that what you're living, what you're facing, what you're going through every day versus what these individuals come out and say is two completely different things. And you have to wonder, are they living in Trinidad and Tobago?
So folks, we're more or less out of time. I'll just close with this. Let's try to be constructive. What is the most important thing we need to see? Obviously, we want to see politicians work better. Obviously, we want to see the TTPS have more training for customer service and be more efficient, etc., etc. No. The most important thing, we come back to the PCA. There needs to be some sort of body to investigate either police misconduct, accusations of crime, accusations of negligence, whatever. It could be small things, it could be big things. But the point is, we need to have an effective body. Whatever the name is, it could be PCA, they could rename it like they rename everything in the police when they have a new commissioner, whatever. We just need somebody that has the authority to effectively do that. It's one thing if police want to be lazy. It's another thing if it's impacting how they deal with crime and other sorts of criminal activity, no matter how small. We need a body to deal with that. More than anything else, for us to even pretend to have confidence in the situation or to start to regain confidence in the situation. The flip side to that is, folks, I can't be the only one, Keaton can't be the only one, the media cannot be the only ones. If you see something, say something. Remember that? Say something about what you see about the TTPS. It's just as important as saying whatever you see about crime and criminals and gangs and that sort of stuff. We need to say more to the government. If you see something, say something. Anyway, let's close here for news. When we come back, we open up the phone lines. I want to hear what you have to say. Keaton, of course, wants to hear what you have to say with regards to this, but bring up anything else as you see fit. Keaton Shah, Sean Michael Small here, and Talking Point. We'll be right back.
is your WESN News of the Hour. I am Marquise Akers. Thanks for joining us. Here are the headlines. 2 bandits shot by police during a robbery. Karen Nunes Teixeira and team files lawsuit seeking to postpone PNM internal elections. Minister Cox praises efforts of the Indian Women's Group. And internationally, Biden promises no new Cold War with China. Now for the details. 2 men were shot and wounded after they allegedly pointed guns at police during a robbery at a building in Barataria early this morning. Police reports indicates officers were on patrol at around 2:56 a.m. when they received a report of a robbery at 7th Avenue, Barataria. The officers went to the area and saw several men standing near a window. One of the alleged bandits jumped over the wall of the compound and ran away. The officers chased the men and called on them to stop again. One of the alleged bandits turned around and allegedly pointed a gun at the police. Police shot the man, but he continued running. He was arrested nearby. Another alleged bandit allegedly pointed a gun at a police and was also shot by the officers and fell. A lawsuit has been filed requesting the postponement of the PNM's internal election. It comes from leadership hopeful Karen Nunes Teixeira, chairman candidate Kenneth Butcher, and elections officer candidate Victor Phillip. The PNM's internal is due to take place on December 4th, with voting to also take place on November 26th and 27th. The lawsuit claims the decision to change the poll from 1 day to 3 days with a 7-day intervening period is unconstitutional, null and void, and of no effect. Every NGO should take a more proactive role in creating programs and services that will empower persons to get out of poverty, heal the broken-hearted, deliver the captives, and give direction to those who have lost their way. This according to Social Development and Family Services Minister Donna Cox. Minister Cox was at the time addressing attendees at an annual fundraising dinner hosted by the Trinidad and Tobago Indian Women's Group over the weekend at the Passage to Asia's Chandelier Hall, Chaguanas. Lauding the Indian Women's Group of Trinidad and Tobago, which was founded in May 1989, was a veritable champion of the underprivileged. The minister endorsed the organization's mission, which was born out of the simple desire to ensure that no one is left behind, aligning well with the Ministry of Social Development and Family Services mandate. In international news, U.S. President Joe Biden has promised there will be no new Cold War with China following a conciliatory meeting with Chinese President Xi Jinping. He also said he did not believe China would invade Taiwan. It was the first in-person meeting between the two superpower leaders since Mr. Biden took office. The pair also discussed North Korea and Russia's invasion of Ukraine at the talks in Bali, a day before the G20 summit on the Indonesian island. In the 3-hour meeting held at a luxury hotel shortly after Mr. Xi's arrival, the leaders discussed a wide range of topics, including Taiwan. Well, that's news to the hour on WESN. I am Marquise Akers. Thanks for watching.
Take some time for yourself or spend some time with the family at Sandy Point Village Hotel. Enjoy our various studio and suite apartments, self-contained with their own kitchenettes and Wi-Fi. We also have our famous 100-foot swimming pool and our beachfront restaurant, the Steak and Lobster Grill. And our location in Crown Point puts us near the center of activity from the nylon pool to the local nightlife. Call us and make your reservations at 639-8533, 389-2378, or email us at sandypointvillagehotel@gmail.com.
Living in victory every day.
Inspire, motivate, encourage, hope. It's about topical issues. It's about everything that you would want to know about hope, about life. At the end, you're going to say, yes, if he can do it, I can do it too. If she can, I can do it too.
No matter what they say, living in victory every day.
Nicole Lawson Live, living in victory every day. Every Sunday at 8 p.m. and Wednesday at 4:30 p.m. on WESN.
Welcome back to Talking Points. You might have just seen me pointing to my course. I was telling him, listen, we're coming back, you know. I'll tell you something after. But ladies and gentlemen, at this point in time, let's open up the phone lines where we give you, the viewer, the opportunity to call in and join us on the program and share your opinions with us. We'd like to hear from you. We are free to express yourself. We just ask that you be respectful of other callers. And of course, remember you're on television, so please be very careful of what you say. So the phone lines are on the screen. Call in and join us this morning on the program. We'd love to hear from you as we continue the conversation.
Just want to say, don't be offended, but automatically, any curse words, we're going to have to cut you.
No,
right? We've only had to do it a couple times within the last year and a half to 2 years. But just want to say it up front so nobody is surprised by it. Once you venture into that realm of language on live TV nationally, that's more or less it. Whatever you would have wanted to say after that point, unfortunately, we can't, you know, hear that because you have to be cut.
It's not only obscene language. I mean, sometimes you just have to be careful of when you're expressing, even with Sean and I, when you're expressing yourself, sometimes you might not be aware of it, but you could be inciting violence.
Yeah. There have been a lot of things, a lot of questions that because at the end of the day, don't our parliamentarians live in the same country? So there's a part of me that does not understand, wait, are y'all somehow immune to crime? Does crime just not come on your doorsteps? Okay, I understand, maybe proper career criminals don't want to take that risk, but what about your family members? I don't know who your family members are. At some point, some random criminal looking to rob somebody might rob one of your uncles or cousins or something.
We have two callers on the line. The first caller from Miaru. Good morning, caller.
Hi, good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning.
It's a beautiful day to have a good day.
Yeah, absolutely right.
And I must say, I'm speaking out of my concern that will impact on a lot of citizens in this country. Mr. Dial Singh, you need to listen and you need to understand what's going on in the RHA, because I am a taxpayer, pay full contribution and meet the requirements and diagnosis a diabetic. I can't get the injection for the eye that is claimed to help me. So I had to go private. That is one. Secondly, I have to get operation in another eye where it says detaching.
Oh no.
So you don't, when I finish that now, you're saying now in the clinic that you don't have the doctors to do that type of operation. I have to go back private. Where we really going in this country and where we really going with the healthcare and contribution for NIS for all these years. Come on, people. Come on, Minister. Let me move forward. Thank you for your time, gentlemen.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, caller.
Retina detachment is absolutely serious. If you don't get that in time, a detachment or tear, if you don't get that in time, you lose your eye. Lord Cole, I really hope you get through. I really, really hope you do.
People being...
Private sector healthcare, mind the pun, they dig your eye out.
COVID did teach me one thing. There's no such thing as recovering fully with regards to certain diseases. There's just slowing down the damage, not even stopping the damage.
Caller on the line with us from San Juan. Good morning, caller.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah, so just was concerned about the health minister said that we was giving the healthcare workers a gift, right?
Yeah.
You know, when the budget was read and they raised gas, it was effective. But so it's like we basically begging for a gift. You understand? So just a thought on mine. Thanks.
Thank you very much, caller. Well, you see, they say that they were giving it as healthcare workers receive gratuity. And the thing is that they were giving gifts to these hardworking healthcare workers who served over the COVID-19 pandemic. And quite frankly, I salute all these healthcare workers who are on the front line. You know, they themselves put their lives at risk. Now, I could be very harsh in saying that is their job. When you get into healthcare, you know that you're putting yourself at risk every day. The thing is with this entire gift, after the price of everything has raised across Trinidad and Tobago, let me tell you something. Healthcare workers faced a lot. There were at some point nurses had to pay for their own uniforms. They had to pay for their own boots. Their own boots, their own shoes. They were recycling face masks, the gowns that they were wearing as well. So all that was taking place. You know, healthcare workers faced a lot. But this gift is also, in my opinion, essentially another political guise. You know, and I can get a lot more into it, but
I prefer this than a pay raise, which is less sustainable, one. And number two, to be fair, you need some sort of incentive because I'm not signing up
let me ask you a question.
for a pandemic.
Is this gift
where the population might not be doing their own part?
We have a caller, but think about this. When nurses didn't have to pay for boots and gowns and what, it came out of their own pocket. I wonder if this is like a reimbursement because they receive gratuity. So it could be a reimbursement that they're calling a gift, but they receive gratuity. Call on the line with us from Claxton Bay. Good morning, caller.
Morning, Sean. Morning, Ethan.
Morning, Mr. Fisherman.
Morning, listener. This case with the money missing from the social welfare. I wonder if anybody investigating that.
Well,
millions of dollars missing from the fund.
Yeah.
And our next one is the diver, the drowning divers in Paris. That like come to a standstill. I don't know about that.
No, I don't know what's going on with the commission either.
So I really I don't know what's going on.
I mean, caller, no stone will be left unturned there apparently as well. I think that is a euphemism now to basically say we're going to not do anything.
Thank you, Mr. Fisherman.
Thank you, Mr. Fisherman. Yeah, I think that's basically code, and when you translate it, it says no progress shall be made. Because, and this is what we were afraid of, right? Now the question is, if the government did it their way, would we have gotten results or would we have gotten a similar outcome? Right? And I honestly don't have an answer for that. I really don't know.
But if we have to keep up to date with, you can check out COE 2022, that's COA2022.com to get the latest. Scheduled hearing is to take place on the 21st of November, which, if I'm not mistaken, is next week.
I wouldn't be surprised if when this is all over, the gentleman who they brought down to head these hearings will have something to say.
Well, we have two callers on the line with us. First caller from Shigonas. Good morning, caller.
Good day, gentlemen.
Good morning.
Morning, Professor.
I see you once again asking who it is who have to deal with these missteps in government. I have already explained to you that is the province of the Prime Minister and his minister, and the laws and policies that exist. The major one is the enforcement of all laws. We have a police force. If you see something, say something, and most anything going on, any donkey could pass down and see it going on. You have a policeman come on this program and pointed out to him a few things that everybody could see. And I see no attempt to deal with it. We cannot pick and choose which law to enforce.
Yeah, absolutely right.
Every law must be enforced. And there are mechanisms to check to see it is done, which goes back to our old administrative reports. Sorry to have to keep spitting in the wind, but...
No, Professor, honestly, you're not spitting in the wind because the genesis of your point is essentially, what's the point of passing all these laws if we just choose in what we want to enforce? You know, but the laws exist and we just choose.
That is why you have enforcement.
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right, Professor, but thank you very much for your contribution, sir. Have a good one. I have a call on the line with us from Santa Cruz. Good morning, caller.
Oh, gosh.
No.
I hope that was not disconnected. We've been having those a few times.
Hello, good morning, caller. Are you with us? All right, I think we've lost that caller from Santa Cruz. We do apologize. You can call back
Santa Cruz, call back. But I think with what yes, I get administrative reports, but I think at the end of the day, he's pointing to people. The question that comes back to that is who watches the watchers. That's more or less what we're coming back to, right? Who watches the watchers?
Who holds those who are supposed to hold everybody else
Right.
accountable?
Now, the thing is, we could point to the PCA for the police, but for the government,
but
we've said it.
Just bear
right?
in mind as well.
People don't like when we say it, but opposition, the public, you know,
just also remember,
NGOs,
the media has a role to play. Other than reporting the news, the media has a role to play to inform and educate. And the media here in Trinidad and Tobago could do a lot better. I listen to state-owned media. I listen to the news every morning. And I'm listening to this lady who reads the news, and I'm thinking, you know...
Well, wait.
No.
State-owned media?
State-owned
yeah,
media.
Well, what do you expect?
No, but
what do you expect?
This is the thing. Again, simple little things like that, we can do a lot better, and we're not doing better. We could do better. Simple little things like reporting and reading the news, we could do a lot better. We're not doing that. And this thing, if we're failing in reporting news, how is it we expect to inform and educate?
That state media, if you want to have that on a different media house, sure.
Well, we have two callers online. First from Santa Cruz. Good morning, caller. Hello, good morning.
Morning.
Morning, caller from Santa Cruz. Yeah?
Good morning.
Yeah, call back here. Good morning, everyone. I was saying that the government keep telling us this thing over and over, and we do not understand. They keep saying that we are at fault, and of course we are at fault because we keep putting them back, and we know they cannot do the job. And we continue to put them back. We go and we beg them, we lift them up, we all kind of thing. Right now, on another calling show, I'm sure they have plenty of people supporting everything the government do.
Yeah.
And this is the problem, so it come back to us.
It
and
does.
if we don't want to open our eyes and think and we satisfied with flooding, road in a mess, people allowing killers to just kill as they want, the government had a conference among all the youths. They had a thing where they carry out and they give them meals and they thing and they make them come together. After the ending of that thing went on for about, I think it's 2 months. The results is gang leaders started lick them one another. And this thing happened with Patrick Manning before when all them gangs was killing out each other. And every time PNN meet with the gangs, they come back and they kill each other. They had big function up in the place there where they have all them. Oh gosh. I had no memory.
I hear your frustration.
And they had a whole sort of thing and everybody come and they sing and they talk and all that come through like it fall on duck. You know what it is. And this is what's going on. And we go on the others. Once I get money to play mass, and I can play mass by me cool, I make gated committee. Too bad for all you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, caller, for your contribution. All the best. But I hear your frustration. You're absolutely right. The thing is, give the government credit where credit is due. You know, don't criticize them for everything. Give them credit where credit is due, but give constructive criticism. Call on the line with us from Gasparilla. Good morning, caller.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I'm a first-time caller.
Good morning, welcome.
I look at your program every day, every morning.
Thank you.
And I want to congratulate you, young men. I'm 64 years old. I want to congratulate you, young men, for the work that you all are doing. Continue doing the great work.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Have a great day. Well, it's always wonderful actually hearing from a new caller, and thank you very much for the support.
My only thing is now to encourage viewers on this show, even on other shows, be more involved, because if it's just Keaton and I and a few other people talking in front of a camera, it will only go so far, right? We are not the entirety of the public. The government is not just going to listen to us just so. You know, the public needs to be able to share their views, because hey, we might not be speaking for everybody. We might not know what the majority thinks. There's a whole lot of reasons why we need the public to be more involved, as the caller before pointed out. But we very much appreciate it, and we thank you, because at least we have some sort of indication that, hey, we for our part, we're going in the right direction.
Well, at least it brings a certain level of satisfaction, because like I said, having to read the news almost every day and go through the daily tabloids certainly breaks your heart sometimes. It really is depressing. But we do this nonetheless, and we thank all the callers for the support. You know, I mean, everybody has their opinion. You're free to express it, but we appreciate it, and we want citizens to speak up. We want them to be a part of the conversation, and certainly this is a platform for everybody to be a part of and join. We have another caller on line with us from Santa Cruz. Good morning, caller.
Good morning, gentlemen.
Morning.
I have not heard this voice in a very long
Yes,
time.
you missed out last week.
Good morning.
Keaton, it's wonderful to see you back on set.
Thank you.
And it's great to have both of you to listen to today.
Thanks
you for coming back. I'm glad you're better. I just wanted to share, Sean, that earlier in the broadcast you mentioned that there was not yet an ambassador to the U.S. Sworn in for Trinidad and Tobago, but indeed there has been. It was done yesterday. Her name is Candice Bond.
Candice Bond, yeah.
Oh, I missed that.
Yeah.
My mistake.
Not a problem. I just wanted to let you know so that you can clear it up before you go.
Thank you for correcting me. We have no problem with viewers you calling in and giving us corrections, especially on straightforward factual things like that where you could point out, hey, you were wrong here, okay?
Well, not wrong, just sharing the information because you didn't have it before you came on.
Yes.
All.
But it's so wonderful hearing from you again. Thank you very much.
Thank you for calling.
It's great to hear you guys. Love you guys. Take care.
Have a great one. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Candice Bond, we now have an ambassador. She was actually confirmed during a hearing yesterday.
Right.
So she's promising to strengthen security, not only for Trinidad and Tobago, but within the region. So we certainly look forward to her tenure.
But she's the ambassador to TNT?
Yeah.
Which means that if she's going to talk about regional security, I do wonder to what extent, how does America view our crime situation, the fact that we are a transshipment point for various smuggling activities?
Listen, geographically, we're both blessed, but we're also stressed.
Very uncursed, I would say.
Caller on the line with us from Tobago. Good morning, caller. Hello, good morning.
Oh, hi, guys. Good morning.
Diego Martin. Good morning, caller.
Oh, hi, guys. Good morning. Thank you. Keaton, I need to correct you on the vocabulary of the TTPS. It's not they're working very hard. It is we are working assiduously to bring the perpetrators to justice. Come on, remember that. It's not hard. And, of course, the no stones unturned for the heinous crime. That word drives me nuts. To the entire planet, the word is heinous, especially TNT journalists.
Yeah.
H-A-Y? I mean, just pronounce it that way. And I've spoken about Mr. Convoluted Rubbish enough times, but you have to remember, too, he doesn't care because his children attended a prestige school, and he only backpedaled maybe on Scotland's back to his bike to his home up Hillsborough when the Catholic board and the Archbishop spoke out. Miss Mungrove of the board also said there were shots fired 2 Fridays prior to around three other schools in the area, and these children actually have drills. That's why they know what to do.
Oh, wow.
That's the doll. Yeah, could you imagine that? We
No.
used to see that. Well, we see that on US TV, right? So, but that's why these children knew what to do. And Gatsby Dolly also doesn't care because she said with the movie town thing that it's not as bad as it looked. She blamed again social media because she's done that several times for the school fights. She said a lot of them are staged for fame. You know, can you imagine that? And just by the way, the world's population reached 8 billion yesterday, which presents us, of course, with more challenges. We should reach 9 billion by 2037. 9 billion.
And 10.4 billion by 2080.
Yeah, exactly. But it kind of, it decreases.
It's going to
not
plateau.
It's not exponential.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you. Thank you very much, caller.
Alongside with that, because there is some environmental concerns as the population reaches past a certain point, demand for coal is up as well.
This is why,
which is what I expected.
I wanted to talk about diabetes, and I will on Thursday. because it ties back into population and food and all that. But to simply put it, just to give you a preview, we can't afford to eat healthy. You can choose what you eat, but if you were to really have this health-conscious diet as people are pushing, you can't afford to buy supplements, you can't afford to buy vitamins, you can't afford to buy healthy foods, right?
When 2 sweet peppers cost $30, I was like, okay, something is, when this is not the right direction to be heading.
Tomatoes, oh my, what's going on with tomatoes? Every day I go to the supermarket, the price of tomato goes up.
But also notice in a lot of places where people buy food, okay, we might be talking too much of the topic, right? But just notice, what are the basic dietary habits of most Trinbagonians? Carbs, lots of carbs, and meat. But loading up on the carbs, flour, rice, potato, you might have rice and potato, right? Macaroni pie and potato or rice. So that's the bulk of our food. What do we expect?
Sean, the bulk of our food, it could be rice, it doesn't matter. Once it have oil in it, right? That's our diet. We just want to taste the oil and the salt.
No. Salt and sugar.
But anyway.
One or both.
As I just want to say, with respect to the movie town, there was another incident that took place in Trinity. I think a couple weeks ago.
Like the minister needs to understand, saying that it's never as bad as it looks, that is just...
Doesn't make it
That's
okay.
a shortcut for people to say...
And the mere fact that these schools have drills, as the times that we're living in, jeez, I'm so sorry kids have to go through this.
Never say it's not as bad as it looks. Just never say that.
Imagine,
no matter, it could be true, it doesn't matter. Don't say that. That sounds bad. That sounds beyond bad.
Imagine kids can't even grow up now like as we did. You can't go outside and play anymore. You can't go outside in the streets and play cricket or kick a ball anymore because you just don't know. Kids are not growing up as kids anymore. We're just growing up basically as robots who have to go through these drills.
Some kids are not growing up, Keaton.
But, well, I mean,
some kids don't get to grow up. I'm still frustrated about this, and the fact that there's no protest, there's no public outrage. Kids are dying, there's no public... Are we the only ones? I don't understand. Anyway.
If you live beyond the age of 30, 35 in TNT, consider yourself lucky.
Oh my gosh, I'm an old man.
Yeah, you are an old man.
Jesus.
In fact, you've reached retirement age. You should have had great-grandchildren by now.
You know?
But anyway, to the Minister of Education, saying that it's just done for some fame and it doesn't look as bad as it is. Yeah. I don't even know what to say. Because the thing is, I regarded, and I still regard...
Keaton.
I still regard Dr. Nian Gatsby-Dolly as one of the smarter ministers.
Isn't the Ministry of Education responsible for the schools that are responsible for to some extent, developing our young people? And that education system is turning out an environment where young people think, hey, fighting on camera will bring us fame. That's not a good result. I'm just saying. I don't know. That result doesn't seem like a great one to fall back on.
As I conclude, I will simply say that to the Minister of Education, I hope that you understand, I'll try and educate you, that society in Trinidad and Tobago is just very much like the schools that you oversee, falling apart and could lead to injury or death at absolutely any moment. That's what society is like. Society is just like the schools that you are overseeing. As we conclude for this morning, thank you very much to all our callers. We thank you for your support. Good to hear from you, Ms. Santa Cruz and Diego Martin. And thank you very much to the call from Gasparello. And Sean Michael Smallwell, first part of the program, thank you for holding on. But I'm glad I was able to come back and have this conversation.
Yes, I'm glad too.
I had to vent that Fitzgerald.
Oh, no, I know, but I just want to say it one more time. I've said it before and I'll continue to say it. Listen, and as one of the callers said, it comes back to us. If we had greater expectations for our politicians, the ones who we say, hey, they sound stupid and they talk a pack of nonsense, trust me, the majority of them will figure it out and will improve if we were able to actually demand more out of them and have higher expectations. But we don't. We don't hold them accountable. We don't push them to be better. It's like we are their managers or supervisors. They are the employee that you have to check in on in case they get too lazy.
I will just go...
It's simple.
I will just go one step further. If we had greater expectations for ourselves, if we had great expectations for politicians, if we had great expectations for ourselves, Mother Trinidad and Tobago, we serve Mother TNT and Mother TNT will serve us. That's how we're living. Anyway, folks, as ironic as it may seem, remember, today is a good day to have a good day. We'll see you again tomorrow morning. Bye-bye.